All right, so we are continuing on with the Women of Influence Summit 2021. I am your host, Kimberly Lawson on Lawson Learning Academy. I am so thrilled that you are continuing to watch these interviews. I hope you have pen and paper ready because every interview is just full of nuggets, full of information that you need. So right now I have with me Selena Merrill. Hi, Selena.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Everyone, listen, Selena and I were talking backstage, and we realized that we are both alum of the same illustrious university, Albany State University.
Yes, go Browns all
Yes,
day.
yes, we run this show.
Yes, we do.
So, Selena, tell the attendees a little bit about you.
All right, like she said, my name is Selena Merrill, and I am a financial planner. As you guys heard, I went to Albany State University, and I actually got a degree in computer science. I started out in computers. I loved the computers. I loved everything about the industry. So I ended up getting my bachelor's in computer science and then a master's in information technology because I felt like I would be in computers forever. But as things happen, plans change. So a couple of years ago, I just realized that although information technology paid the bills, I liked what I did. It wasn't my passion. And so I went back to school at night and got certified as a financial planner. And so here I am. I switched industries, switched careers, left my cushy IT corporate America job back there and struck out on my own as an entrepreneur in the financial industry.
I love that. You said that, hey, I was making good money, bills were paid, I was living a good life,
Yeah,
but it was not your passion.
right. Yep. It's definitely
So,
not my passion.
so how long did it take you to decide, you know what, I have to follow my passion. I need to do something that is fulfilling to me as well as paying the bills.
It took a couple of years because becoming an entrepreneur is very scary, not having that steady paycheck. And being that I was in information technology, I had a really nice paycheck. So it took a while to make that decision to leave. Although it's been about 5 or 6 years, I knew I wanted to leave. It took me a minute to just get in alignment, know that I could walk away and I would be okay doing so.
I love that though. And I'm so glad that you did that because, everybody has a different glow about them when they are working in their passion, when they start aligning themselves with their purpose. There's a different glow about you because, as you said, being an entrepreneur is scary. It's a lot of hard work. But with that hard work, because it's with your passion, you don't have that downtrodden look that you will see people who are overworked in an industry that is outside of their passion.
Right. Yep. You're exactly right. Yeah. I feel freer. It's a different type of energy when you get up and you don't have to be tied to a 9 to 5. You direct your day. You are, like they said, the author of your destiny. So it's definitely a different feeling. You move differently when you have that type of freedom.
Yes, absolutely. So what was the transition like? Like once you finished getting your degree, getting your certification to move into financial planning and becoming an entrepreneur, what was that transition like for you?
It was an interesting transition. Once I left corporate and the check stopped, my mindset had to change a little bit as well. It wasn't too bad because I connected with a firm that offered some of what I had in corporate, but still allowed me to have the flexibility to build a business the way I saw fit. So I think I had an easier transition maybe than most entrepreneurs because I was able to plug into something, but still have that autonomy to do whatever I want to do. But the first couple of months, it was different. It was definitely different. Waking up knowing that whatever I did today, whatever I produced, that's how I ate. And so that mindset, it really has to shift when you're coming from being a corporate employee to now owning your own business. Like every day is a grind. So I think that was the biggest transition, knowing like waking up, knowing that if I don't work today, if I don't go hard for myself today, I may not eat, I may not get a paycheck. So that was the biggest shift for me. It was mental.
And and that's the thing about too, what you're talking about, small businesses and entrepreneurs. Whenever you financially invest or invest anything in it, directly
Right.
what is going to come out of that hard work, out of the
Mhm.
money that you spent. And so it's the same as, running it. When you're working for someone else, you may be doing things and you don't necessarily know, what's going to be the outcome of that, if you will get to see the end result. But as an entrepreneur, you will see the end result every single time of your hard work.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. Definitely. And that's the beauty of it. In corporate, you could work 50 to 60 hours a week and you only see your 40-hour a week check. But as an entrepreneur, if you put in 50 to 60 hours a week, you will see that fruit. Like you get out what you put in. And that's like one of the most beautiful things about it. You're not working for free. Everything you put into it, you're gonna get out of it. So that's one of the things that has really kept me going on those nights. And I'm like, did I make the right decision? Should I go back to corporate? Then I think about those long weeks where I work 60 hours a week and still only got paid 40. I'm like, nah, if I'm gonna work 60, I'm gonna do it for myself and get paid for 60.
Absolutely. So why financial planning? Because that's not a leap that I would necessarily associate starting out with, computer technology, information systems. Why financial planning?
So it's funny, financial planning has always followed me. Even in college, I was doing budgets for like my friends and stuff. I don't know why people would just ask me these questions. I may not have known the answer, but it was fun to me to go research it and come back and help them plan their money. I just found joy in that. So even though I pursued computers because at the time I thought that that's where the money was, it was 2000, everything was going toward digital. But financial planning has always been like something I like to do. I really love to do. So going from computers to financial planning, since I've always done it on the side, it was a natural transition for me. So it was always there in the back, like you should be doing this, but not knowing how to make money in it and not knowing that I could sustain in something that I love doing kept me in computer science, kept me finding computer jobs.
Okay. Well, hey, you got to take that leap. And you
Yeah.
were doing it in college, and oh my goodness,
Yes.
that you need a budget in college, especially if
Yes,
you were
you do.
not working. If you were just
Yep.
getting a refund check and it has to last until the next one, you need a budget. I
Right.
know you were popular amongst your friends.
Yeah, back then when you're making 5.15 an hour, you got to make that stretch.
Listen, my very first one, I started out making 4.75, my first job, and then minimum wage went up to 5.15. And listen, I was like, oh, I don't have nothing else to worry about,
Right.
making 5.15.
It's amazing how 5.15 was a lot of money to us, and now
Yeah.
it's like you can't live off of $5,000.
Well, also too, back then gas was, at $1 a gallon.
Exactly. You're right. Yep. It was definitely things were a little bit cheaper than they are now. I remember my first apartment. The rent was $400 for a 2 bedroom. So splitting that with a roommate, it's like my 5.15 is stretched because I could pay my bills with that. So, but we still had to budget it. Still didn't go too far.
Right. So, as far as, financial planning and entrepreneurs, why is it important for entrepreneurs, small business owners, to have a financial plan?
So when you talk about financial planning from a business owner perspective, one, the most important thing to a business while we all pursue entrepreneurship is for the money. And so you have to understand how the cash is flowing in and out of your business. A lot of small business owners that I've worked with, one of the biggest things that I find is they really don't have a good grasp of how much they're bringing in and exactly where the money is going. Understanding that concept, it puts you in a position to be able to make better decisions in order for you to grow. And talk to new business owners. One of the first things that we try to get our hands around is your cash flow, making sure that you understand exactly every dollar that's coming in, where it's going, to make sure that it's either growing the business, you're investing in the business, you're investing in yourself, making sure that your personal plan is also taken care of. That's something that I find too in entrepreneurs, where we're constantly pushing to the business. We should be, but sometimes we forget about our personal plan, our personal financial goals. And it's a balance. You have to make sure that you're doing that balance, and you have that balance to make sure that you're achieving your business goals as well as your personal financial goals.
Okay, so that makes perfect sense. Now, some of the attendees that are watching and they're thinking, well, at the end of the year, they talk to their CPA and all of those things. How is working with a financial planner different than working with a CPA?
So you need both of us. So when you're trying to assemble your management team, you actually need a CPA and a financial planner on your team. Simply because a CPA is going to help you manage your past. Everything you've done that past year, your expenses, they're going to help you write that stuff off, make sure their taxes are okay. But what a financial planner is going to do, we're going to help you look toward the future. We're going to make sure that the goals that you have, the money that you're making, you're actually putting it in the right place. So a CPA and a financial planner work hand in hand. So that's the best way I tell people to look at it. Your CPA normally is going to help make sure that your past is good, that you're okay from a tax perspective based on the things that you've done. And your financial planner is going to help you look toward the future and make sure that the things that you're doing is setting yourself up for whatever future goals you may have. So it's really necessary to have both of us on your team.
And that was sort of my thought, was one is probably past, one is future, but you definitely, need to work with both. So
Right.
as a financial planner, what's one common mistake that you see entrepreneurs and small business owners making?
The biggest mistake, it goes back to that cash flow, really not understanding the power of their cash flow and where it's going. I found that when we sit down and we really understand where every dollar is going and making sure that it's achieving the goals that you want, making sure that you're not overspending in certain areas, looking at the expenses. That's one place that we know we're spending money, but is the dollars that you're spending, you know, helping your bottom line, helping you achieve the goals that you want to achieve? Should you be spending more money in marketing? Should you be spending more money over here? It's really that cash flow. That's the really powerful way to make sure that you're still growing. Having those metrics. Are you growing year over year? How was your last quarter versus this quarter? How does your quarters measure up from the quarter from last year versus the quarter from this year? Really understanding those numbers and understanding how they affect the business. And then once you understand them, using those numbers to make decisions in your business. If you want to grow, if you want to scale, you have to understand your core numbers and know where you're spending your money, what products are bringing you the most money in, what target markets are bringing you the most money in. It really comes down to understanding that cash flow and really keeping an eye on where everything is going. Like, I can't stress enough that when you're running your business and you're looking at your cash, making sure you understand where you're spending your money and if you're getting, like they said, a bang for your buck and the different things that you're trying to do.
That right there is so important. Everything that you just said, as far as understanding where your money is going. And I'm thinking as you're talking, I was like, because if you spend X amount of dollars on, marketing,
Right.
A particular, 3 products, and at the end you go back and you look at the numbers, only 2 of them you saw a real return on, as
Right.
far as marketing dollars you spent. Now
Uh-huh.
you have decisions to make going into the next
Exactly.
quarter.
Exactly. So it gives you enhanced decision making. But if you're not tracking those numbers, you won't have that information to be able to make decisions for the next quarter. You hit it right on the head. Yep.
Right, exactly. And then now, during this pandemic, we're seeing a lot of people getting those small business loans, and
Mm-hmm.
they're getting that money. And, the question is that I keep, thinking when I'm talking to people about it, what is your plan to spend this money on?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. What are your goals? Where are you needing this money? Where has the pandemic hit you the hardest? This pandemic has really made a lot of businesses look at their structure, and a lot of businesses have had to pivot. with what they're currently doing. So you have to make sure that in this pivot mode, you're using this influx of cash in the right way. And
Right.
if you don't understand the metrics from your prior business or how you were set up previously, it's going to be difficult in order to pivot and use those funds to help move you forward.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about pivoting. A lot of businesses have had to shift around employees,
Yeah.
because of, you know, because of the pandemic. Restaurants and things that are not, doing dine in are
Right.
now, what are you doing with your wait staff? Do you,
Yep.
and that's another reason to know how
Hmm.
you're spending your money, how to best spend your money,
Right.
so that you can keep your business going, during this pandemic.
Hmm. Yep. You're absolutely correct. And again, it boils down to understanding those metrics. And once you understand that, it is so much easier to make decisions based on concrete evidence. And you're not guessing. It takes out the guessing element. You're able to say, I need to do X because Y is showing me this. I mean, you're really getting down to using concrete numbers in order to make better decisions for your business.
Right. So, what about people who have not started a business, but they're working on their business plan, and projections and things like that play a big part, especially if you are looking to get a loan or have
Right.
investors? Do you work with those individuals as well who are not established, but are working or in the planning phases and want to get some type of financial backing for their business?
So I've talked to a few. That's not my target market. I normally work with entrepreneurs who are already established and have the numbers and need to just get those numbers in order. But just some advice for a new entrepreneur is make sure you're starting out on the right foot. The biggest thing I see with new entrepreneurs is mixing money. So
Mm,
they have their personal money and their business money is all in one big pot. It's so hard to see and distinguish what's for the business and what's for you personally. So that's my number one advice for new entrepreneurs from the jump. Before you have money coming in from these different places, make sure it's separated. Make sure you have a business account. Make sure you're not mixing money because it's going to be extremely difficult at tax time to now go back and try to figure out what was a personal expense versus a business expense. So that's like my biggest advice for new entrepreneurs is do not mix money. Try to get yourself set up correctly up front so you don't have those decisions on the back end trying to figure and separate things.
and I've heard that many times, and that's a recommendation that I make for my clients is to early on get a
Yes.
business account. you
Yes.
know let's cut out Cash App. Let's cut that out because it's too easy to mix money. There is limiting in what you can do, but get that business account and start, separating out the money that's coming in, because
Right.
you don't really know if you're making money if it's all just
Exactly.
your personal checking.
Yes, yes. And you don't know if the money that you're spending, if it's business money, if it's your money, like it's so difficult to tell. So you're absolutely right. That's great advice. Make sure you have that business checking account. It saves you a lot of headaches down the road.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So, what's some other, another great piece of advice for entrepreneurs and small business owners? And my thought is, right now during this pandemic, we do see that a lot of people unfortunately are dying during this pandemic, and you have people with businesses and they are passing away, and now there is this financial perspective to deal with, and there wasn't necessarily a plan, as
Right,
far as what this money is and where it goes and what to do with it.
right. The biggest thing that I see, another big thing, should I say, that entrepreneurs really don't do a lot of is risk management. And it ties directly into what we're seeing with what's happening in COVID. Making sure that you are thinking through those different scenarios and you have a plan for it. Having your documents in place, if that's wills, trust, power of attorney documents. Make sure you have all of those documents in place. What's going to happen if you pass away? how does that look for the business? So risk management is another thing that small business owners need to take some time and think about. What happens if you get COVID and you could not work for 6 to 8 weeks? What does that do to your business? Do you have a plan for that? So that would be the other advice that I would give business owners, is make sure that they have a risk management plan. Just because no one knew COVID was going to happen, right? No one knew that businesses were going to be shut down for 2 and 3 months. So making sure that you're thinking about things that you don't expect to happen. So planning for the unexpected is one of the big things that I tell business owners, that on top of cash flow, you really have to make sure that you're doing risk management as well.
You know, we've been talking about small business owners and entrepreneurs. And when you were talking about being out of work, for 2 and 3 months, my initial thought were hairstylists, barbers, manicurists, because people don't necessarily associate them with being an entrepreneur, but essentially that's what they are, unless they work for a salon that issues a salary.
Right.
And March, April, and May were very difficult months
Yes.
for them.
It was.
Mhm.
And that's where that emergency savings come in. You have to make sure, and it's all a part of risk management. What happens if I can't work for 2 or 3 months? How am I going to pay my bills? And so you have to make sure that you have an emergency savings set aside and not touched for things like that what if. So if you had that, they say that 3 to 6 months, if you had that 6 months saved and you were out of work for three, you would have been okay, because you would have had that money sitting to the side that you could have pulled from and continued to pay your bills until the economy opened back up.
Right, absolutely. And even just beyond the pandemic, if you are an entrepreneur, small business owner, and you're a woman and you're pregnant,
Right.
you plan
Yes.
on, the 6 weeks, but what if you have to have a C-section and you're looking at 8 weeks, or there's some other type of complications and it goes beyond that? And so
Yes.
that's really where I'm thinking, like, that risk management plan will be so beneficial. And this is something that happens, very often with entrepreneurs and things like that. The unexpected outside of the pandemic happens. You have a heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
have a sick
Mm-hmm.
mom, a sick dad, and you need to go and be a caregiver,
Right.
and so shut your business down.
Right. Yes. Definitely. Planning for the unexpected is something that we all need to do, business and personal. We saw it across the board. It happens with business owners from a personal perspective too. You have to make sure you're planning for the unexpected.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when someone decides that, okay, I'm ready to pull back covers, let's see what's really here, and talk with a financial planner, what types of things do they need to have prepared or be prepared to share outside of, because I'm of course thinking, of course you're going to want to look at bank statements, but what else outside
Right.
of are you want to look at?
So when you're ready to work with a financial planner, or me in particular, you got to be ready to look at everything, because the first thing that happens in financial planning is everything in one spot. You have to understand and know everything that you have going on. So like you said, it's bank statements, credit card statements, um, any type of policies that you have. Anything that you have financially, we have to all pull it together. So I kind of associated with going to your financial junk drawer. You know how we get financially, you might get an auto policy, your auto loan. We put all that stuff in a drawer. Clean out your financial junk drawer. Let's spread it all out on the table and get it organized. So when you get ready to take that first step, it's really bringing everything that you have in one place, so you can organize it and see and start with what you have. And from there, we make plans on what you need to do to achieve the things that you really want. So having everything, and then have an idea of what you want to achieve, the goal that you have. Those are the main two things that you need to get started.
And that would not be something that I think most people would initially think, like talking about the goals, because on social media, like you see people who use the title financial planner, but they're all about credit scores and cleaning up credit scores. And It's not the same.
Right. No, it's not. And I see the term financial planner, like you said, is used very loosely, especially now in the age of social media. But to get a true financial plan, when you're talking about doing true financial planning, you're looking at every area of your life, risk management, investment management, every single area, and you're making a plan for each one of those areas. So it's not just siloed into one. It's literally ripping the band-aid off of everything from A to Z, retirement plan, different things like that, and coming up with a full comprehensive plan.
Yes. All right. Attendees, you heard it. Go ahead. And if you are not in that place,
Mhm.
it's okay. If you have not been working with a financial planner, you don't have the risk management plan in place, it's okay. Now you know what you need, and it's time to go ahead and reach out and seek that help, because you don't want to be in a situation where a plan in place would have prevented, catastrophe.
Yes, I totally agree. The time to start is now. Like I tell people, don't feel any type of way and don't feel embarrassed about where you currently are. It's just where you are today, but that's not where you're going. So face where you are today, let's brush it off and look toward the future and put a plan in place for where you want to be. That's the only thing that matters is where you want to end up, not where you currently are.
I love it. I love it. So before we close out, Selena, do you have any final remarks that you would like to make to the attendees? Any last words of wisdom or anything?
Definitely. Financial planning is something that everyone should take advantage of. It's always good to have somebody that you can bounce ideas off, ask questions, and really help get you in a better place. In the African American community, we don't do enough financial planning. We try to figure things out on our own. And that's due to various different reasons. Growing up in the home, we really didn't talk about money. And so we kind of took that into adulthood and we try to figure out our finances on our own. But just like when you go to the doctor, if your stomach is hurting, you're not going to try to figure out what's going on the inside because you're not a doctor. You're going to go to a doctor and you're going to let them diagnose what's going on. The same thing with your finances. If you've been struggling with your finances, if you really don't understand your business finances, reach out to a professional and get that help just like you would as a doctor. Think of a financial planner as a financial doctor. We are here to help you diagnose those issues that you're having and help you put plans in place to solve them. So it's okay to reach out for help in order to put your finances in a better place. That's what we're here for.
Yes, and it it definitely you definitely make it sound a lot less scary than
Mhm.
what it is, because, and I think that that's the biggest thing, is the fear,
Yes.
and shame, the embarrassment of being scolded by it, but having the right financial planner, someone like you, of course, who is, has your best interest at heart, will definitely, soften the blow of the initial shock of, oh my God, I didn't know it was this bad, that type of thing. So I like that.
Right. Yes. Yep. You're absolutely right. Find somebody that you can trust and you can feel like you can open up to, and you know that just really has your best interest at heart and just really want to help you get to a better spot.
Yes. All right. All right. So, attendees of the Women of Influence Summit 2021, this interview is now at an end. I know you have a page full of notes because Selena gave you valuable advice. Please use it. Please use that advice that Selena gave. I can be transparent and say that I will be using some of the advice that Selena gave. All right.
Right.
So, again, I am your host, Kimberly Lawson. You are watching interviews at the Women of Influence Summit 2021. Continue watching, continue enjoying.